Oh, it's so good to be here. It's been a while, and I just love to see all the faces, the new friends I've made, plus the old ones that I've seen. I'm so thankful. Pastor Irwin, I am so thankful that you even asked me to come up just for a few minutes. I'm thankful. And for the First Lady, Joanne, I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have been in our life a constant source of encouragement, and as I know he is to y'all, constant source, right? Constant source. And praise God. Thank you. He's great. We love him. We love him. Today, I'm going to speak a little bit on what in Louisiana what we call land yap, which means it's just a little something extra, right? Just a little something extra. That's all I got. Just a little something extra. And I want you to talk. We're going to talk about stretching. Okay, stretching. So I brought Stretch Armstrong. Do y'all remember him? He will stretch out of his body like you wouldn't believe. So if I could ask my husband and this gentleman to come and stretch out to show you what we do in our lives. Now, we're going to don't hurt his head, but you take his legs and you start stretching. Now, pull. Yeah, but just pull him. Look how he's stretching. Y'all see how he's stretching? Yay, look. This is what we do. This is how we live. Do you understand that? We live like this. And that's the Van Damme stretch, by the way, with the two legs out. Very powerful stretch. See, that's how we live our lives. I love it. Half the time we got one arm over here, one leg over here, and our head is somewhere in technology. We are never together, okay? We are never together. Thank y'all very much. This is how we live our lives. But I want you to know, have you ever stretched that dollar, right? Have you stretched the dollar? Man, I can spend the dollar 15 times, more than it's worth. And then there are times when we stretch our mind on the computer. We're way too busy. We're way thinking too much. We can't stop our brain. We're constantly thinking. We're stretching ourselves. The third thing I want you to know is we end up stretching our body. How many of you walk a little bit? What happens after you walk a little bit? You got to walk a little bit more. If you start with a 5-pound weight, before you know it, you're up to a 10-pound. Because you want to stretch yourself over the limit. That's our culture. That's what we do. But there's one thing that we don't stretch. There's one thing that we need to learn to stretch, and that's our faith. Okay, that is our faith. We need to learn to stretch your faith over. Sometimes we say, well, I'm just so uncomfortable doing that. Well, so is stretching your legs. So is stretching your arms. So is walking the extra mile. That's always a stretch. It's not hard to stretch your faith. God has so many blessings for us. God told me one time, he says, I have a sea of blessings for my people. And now the sea is really large. It's vast. You stand on the shoreline, you see it forever. If you get in a boat and drive out, you see no land. It's vast. He says, my people come to me on the shoreline of the sea with an 8-ounce glass. And I want to bless them with the ocean full. With an ocean full. So what are we doing? Oh, we're not stretching ourselves to that faith. We're not stretching it over there. We still want to live in the confines of what we believe, and we don't want to get out of the confines of what we don't see. We've got to believe in what we don't see. God said, good measure. In Luke 6:38, he says, good measure. I want the good measure. Y'all want the good measure. I want the good measure. Pressed down, shaken together, running over to the full. Running over. Do you get that picture? To the full, running over. We got that? To the full, running over. That's what he wants to give you. So let me say, you say, well, Cindy, where in the Bible does it talk about stretching? Well, let's go to Isaiah 54:2. And it's just one sentence I'm going to go over. And it says, I want you to enlarge the place of your tent. Enlarge the place of your tent. And then he says, I want you to stretch your tent of the curtains. He wants you out of there. He wants you to push out. He wants you to walk out. He wants you to step out in faith. And then the next word, he says, don't hold back. How many of us are holding back? How many? How many of us are holding back on that faith? We're holding back. You see, I can believe for the ground meat, but I can't believe for the filet mignon. I can believe for the Toyota car, but I can't believe for the Rolls Royce. I want you to stretch your faith. And the last word is that he says, lengthen your cords. This is a sign for us to just keep pushing ourselves out of the limits and into the impossible realm. What's impossible in your life? What does this mean for us? It means stretch your faith over the grave, because you don't live there anymore. Stretch your faith over that doubt. Stretch your faith over the fear. Stretch your faith over that depression. Stretch your faith over that discouragement. Stretch your faith over that, then use that as a bridge to get you to the impossible. You see, we live in the impossible arena. Do you understand? We don't live in the possible, because God is our source, and he is the God of the breakthrough. He is the God of the impossible. Everything he did on the face of this earth was impossible. So that's where we live. Why? Because our Father can break through and make everything that seems so impossible in our lives possible. You just grab your faith, stretch it over that grave, stretch it over those dead dreams, stretch it over the word. You see, if we could just stretch our faith over this verse in Luke 1:37, this is what Mary said when she became pregnant. She said, nothing is impossible with my God. Just stretch your faith over that and see how God doesn't work in your life. See if what seems to be the impossible breaks through to the probable in your life. Stretch your faith and watch God work. So my word for you today, stretch your faith and don't give up. Stretch your faith and don't give up. Amen.